Broadcast.
Are live.
Hello, everyone. This is Stephen David Elliot. You are listening and watching Three Martini Lunch. It's a national virtual networking event with some of the best panelists and nicest people you will ever meet. I am glad to see some people that are not normal first hour people as panelists today. Katie, good to see you. Also, I want to tell you this is powered by Rockstar Connect. Rockstar Connect is a national networking event company. We are largely famous for our physical events in person, and hopefully we will be doing those soon as everyone gets vaccinated. Has anyone here been vaccinated yet? No one's been vaccinated?
Nope.
I'll make sure I can hear you guys. Okay. You've all been vaccinated. Okay, great.
Negative.
Negative. Okay.
No vaccine.
Does coffee count?
Does coffee count? Your coffee counts. He makes a mean cup of coffee there.
I like it chewy, so be careful.
If any of you know of any Ernest Hemingway contests coming up, that it looks somewhat like what my beard is doing.
Is that's the Hemingway?
I think it's going to be a Hemingway look by the time it's done.
Eventually, give it another month. Right now, you're at Harvey Weinstein.
At Harvey Weinstein. I wish I could hit you for that one. But social distancing and all of that.
Stay 6 feet away, sir.
Didn't Harvey Weinstein pass away of COVID in prison?
I have no idea.
Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't think so. I haven't read about it.
Something like that?
No, he hasn't died yet.
He hasn't died yet. We would know. We would know probably.
Yeah.
So how would you guys describe Domenic's beard and mustache? Is it Harvey Weinstein? Is it?
Give it to me. Let's do this.
Give it to him. Give it to me. This is your only chance. Jennifer.
Pleading the fifth.
You're pleading the fifth?
Yeah.
Thanks,
Dom's a buddy. I got to be nice.
Steven's a buddy. That's why I give him a hard time.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Jack, we, as we're waiting for people to trickle in right here, we did enjoy that bottle of Cooper's.
Did you like it?
We won at the Secret Santa, and I think everyone has had a drink out of it pretty much, except you.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites when we did our tasting. I really liked it, so I'm glad you all liked it too.
Excellent. There is a distillery for sale up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's only $2.9 million. It's on 89 acres. Silver Award winner. If anybody would like to invest with me, I only need 30 more investors. And we can put your picture on one of the bottles of whiskey.
$2.8 million to do it.
Only need $2.8 million more to do it. Who's in?
So isn't the asking price $2.8 million?
Ooh, we got found out.
I think you did send me the listing.
It's 2.9 million.
2.9 million.
I think I can get it for 2.5 million though. But we'll use that money for operating, the additional investment for operating expenses.
Yeah.
That's pocket change for Dom. He's in.
Pocket change for Don. 100%. The Blue
Sure
Ridge.
it is. Great. Sure it is.
And so the structure of the Rockstar Connect event is to share what your successes have been over the last week. The second hour, we discussed the question of the week, and I think we have a good question for this week. I think it's thought-provoking, and I hope I wrote it down. I did write it down. Sarah did write it down. We do have it. Mark, it's been the longest since you have been on the program, so you've had a long time to accumulate new successes. Why don't you share with us what your successes have been? And everyone, if anyone wants to comment on Mark's beard, please feel free.
It's been a long time coming. We've been very, very busy. Year end for our clients has kept us frantic. We just put hardwood floors in the house, or literally did it ourselves. So that's been sucking up the evenings. And then we had a 3-day boat ride to move our boat to Havelock. That was an event going up the ICW, the Intercoastal Waterway. And that's been in the quick bullet points what we've been doing other than work and having some fun.
Yeah, so we're in 2021. Last week, the question, I'll bring it up to you. Last week, the question was, a lot of our views may have changed regarding success over the last year. A lot of people are just, living their life and enjoying it to the fullest. It sounds like you're going on a boat and doing that and doing things to your home. That's living life to the fullest. Now that you may have a new view of what success is, what are you doing to pursue that?
Is it coming back to me?
That was all to you. That's what happens when you look down at your phone.
Yeah. In fact, that was the call from the boat. We just had to move that. We broke it, moving it. Little details. We are really going to be setting our schedule and our time so we can enjoy the boat. We can take people out on the boat. Possibly look at relocating down by the coast. Really putting what we want for our life, being Tiffany and myself, so we can really start enjoying it. We've got a couple of clients that we've gotten in that same realm where they're looking to either divest themselves of their business or just really kick back and start enjoying life, stopping working all the time and enjoying the time that we have left. So we really do have that plan out there. Weekends are going to be in Havelock, out on the boat, and then we'll be taking the boat down to Florida.
No, that's great. So basically, you're recognizing that life may be short. Life is fragile. You could live another 100 years, who knows? But you're going to enjoy every minute of that life. Enjoy.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right, let's jump over to Katie. Hi, Katie. I'm glad you were here during the first hour today.
Yeah, so I decided to mix it up today.
That's terrific. How has the last week been for you? Have you had some great successes?
So stuff is still moving pretty slow as we're getting back into the new year, but I mean, this year is going to be insanely busy, so I don't mind it. We're hoping to still have our gala May 15th. We're hoping to still give away, bikes this spring in our mini bike reveals and in the fall. So we have a lot coming up. So I've just been kind of re-looking at my online course to teach people how to start nonprofits. A new mastermind started this week with it, and we have accountability partners. So I've just kind of been refocusing on that and getting that kind of mapped out and planned. And so that's been a new success.
That's great. So May 15th is the gala. If you can't do it live, will you do a virtual gala again?
No. We didn't do a virtual gala before. It was just a virtual fundraiser. But we'll probably just postpone it till the fall.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think it's leaning towards?
I think we'll be able to do it. I mean, by May, a lot of people will be vaccinated. I think, it's becoming more common to have rapid testing, like have someone sponsor rapid testing and have that at the door, so people have the option to do it. And then, I'm just so sick of wearing masks. I really would love to not have to have my face covered. I want to have everyone see all my makeup that I will have professionally done and, at the event. So, I mean, who knows? If we have to wear masks, fine. I'll get a sparkly one. But, between all those things, I think we'll be okay. I mean, every person that I know that's my age, for the most part, I mean, Charleston is people are partying pre-COVID here. I'm not participating in that, but people seem to feel pretty comfortable going places. We just have to be careful with the social responsibility that we hold to not promote the wild part, close partying. But I think by May we could get away with it safer. Okay,
good to hear. And we're praying that you have a good event.
Thank you. Me too.
Jennifer, also in South Carolina. Good to see you.
Good to see everyone too. So yeah, I just want to say I'm very happy to have finally finished our new business plan, which is taking us into a completely different direction than I would have, seen last year. But it was one of the most thorough and toughest things to work on, or the longest time to work on this kind of thing. So several months of actually going in with a professional, going in and making it work with all the numbers, and it's finally done as of last night. So yeah, it's just a matter of seeing where it goes from here. I only could cross my fingers and hope everything goes well.
What's the big difference with your plan?
Well, there's different business models now with new services that we'll be providing, and then us focusing into the animation side. So that's a huge endeavor, to put it the least.
Well, it seems like you have more characters there than penguins now, so you're definitely adding to your plan.
Oh, absolutely. What you see behind me is just the tip of the iceberg. So, and I can't say much or reveal much now, but eventually I look forward to sharing it with you guys or publicly on LinkedIn.
Hey, terrific. That's great. Hey, let's jump up to Diego. We didn't have you last week, Diego. Good to have you back.
Good to be back. Great to see everybody.
What successes have you had since we last saw you 2 weeks ago?
Well, business continues to be strong, so grateful for that. Stephen, I'll actually mention a success that you were a part of for me. I received a phone call from a very good friend of mine who was looking for a commercial real estate agent, and she talked to her boss and said, I have somebody who can help us. And her boss said, I need to talk to somebody who I trust, who's a referral partner of mine, because I just want to make sure that we get somebody who we can work with. And they happened to call somebody by the name of Stephen David Elliot, who said, well, you need to work with Diego. And they went back and compared notes, and I was honored by that. So Stephen, thank you for your consistent confidence and faith. But it was just great to know that the work that I've been doing out in the community is translating to name recognition and a brand.
That's great. So you were on, they were going to call you, and I just sort of, by coincidence, they called me for a referral, and you were on both of our lists.
You confirmed what others in their organization were also saying. So, and I'll take it. So thank you. You're
welcome. That's the beauty of referrals, 100%. And that person, I actually represented them in about 10 transactions, and have had many referrals from them. So they're a good referral source as well. And that was representative of a deal where I really just went out of my way. That's something that I've changed a lot. I'm going back to my roots. So when I first started real estate, if I got a phone call and they said, hey, there's a deal 3 hours from here, I hopped in my car and I go 3 hours away. Now, any excuse to go in a car is great because we have so many less miles. So I'll hop out there and go hours for deals. I mean, I drove out this weekend, to Hyco Lake, which is not exactly in Raleigh. And then from there, ran back to Raleigh and wrote another deal. And the deals are out there if you're willing to chase them, 100%. Do you ever sometimes do you feel like now it's sort of going back to the basics, following up with your sphere of influence, maybe trying some deals that you haven't done in a while, Diego?
That's always part of our mantra. We always stick to the basics because the basics work. That may be just the sports philosophy in me. If you can do the basics well, the rest of it just builds from there. So we're constantly in touch with our sphere, with our community, and this was just a perfect example of how it's translating. So
it was interesting. This weekend, I did have a few restaurateurs contact me, not for commercial space, but for actual upgrades in their residential space. So I found that to be pretty promising. Someone out there in that industry is doing well. So that's a really good thing. Thanks for coming back on, Diego.
Always a pleasure.
So Jack, we did see you last week, but what's new on your end of the world? What type of successes are you experiencing, or what would you like to share with us?
I'll give my wife some props this week in terms of success. She had stayed at home. I've got my oldest daughter is 20 years old, and she's been a stay-at-home mom, throughout her tenure. And then I've got some younger kids also. But she's jumped back. I don't know if any of y'all have heard it shipped, SHIPT, but it's a thing where people can go online and order their groceries, and they got to deal with Target, and then she shops for them and then delivers it. And she's doing that and making pretty good money at doing it in the process. So that's been a nice thing for us, and she seems to enjoy it. So like I said, for people who are nervous getting out a little bit in this environment, it's been a way. It's that kind of win-win for everybody. So like I said, I want to give her some props this week.
Yeah, I've been finding and talking to a lot of people all around the country that are doing like transitions from either not working for many years or working in other jobs, changing to other professions, especially in sales, because maybe in their industry the opportunities are not there, but other industries have a lot of opportunities right now. I mean, for those of you that are looking for work that are listening to this program, freight is very big now, because one of the things that happens after an epidemic, and this is historically proven, this goes back to the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages, populations move after great illness, because populations change, jobs are in different places, and people move because of it. In California right now is the last state in the country that people are moving to now. And everyone used to move to California or want to move to California. Now everybody's moving out of California. So there's a whole business in helping people move out of California to places like North Carolina, and out of New Jersey to places like Connecticut. So there is a lot of opportunity out there. So for those of you who are listening to us on Facebook or YouTube, now is a good time to start researching, what are the careers of today, and what are going to be the careers of tomorrow. 100%. Okay, so Domenic.
Yes, sir.
What has been your great success in the last week?
Well, first, before I get to my success, I did want to answer the original question, which was, what do you think of Mark's beard? And I would have to say to Mark, it is wicked pissa. And now that I've given you your daily dose of Bostonian, we are going to say that my biggest success was, it has to do with one of my kiddos. Kicking and screaming, dragging my senior through her final exams, and she passed all of her classes. So we are one semester away from having one out of high school. So I see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you know what I'm saying.
So what are you going to do with that extra bedroom?
Well, she's going to continue to live here while she goes to Wake Tech, likely. But
you're not going to make her get out of the house.
Oh, as soon as humanly possible. But what I don't want to have happen is for her to leave and then have to come crawling back, because that'll be even worse.
Well,
she's a great kid, so no complaints about that. But it's close to adulthood, right?
It's so different. It's so weird. So I'm thinking, our older daughter, she has a little more freedom. She goes back and forth between her mother's house and our house and her grandparents. And, she pretty much was, didn't go out a lot anyway. That wasn't her thing. She's a big student. She just brought us a 4.5 average, pretty good. Not bad. 4.5 average, straight A's. And but our younger daughter, she only has the kids in the neighborhood have stopped playing outside entirely.
Oh, yeah.
In the last, probably since Christmas, when they started to get a little more dire on TV and on radio. And I was thinking, the younger one has only interacted with her few friends that she can contact on Zoom or on her phone. they're all girls.
Mm-hmm.
And when she goes back to school and she sees boys again, she's going to be a teenager, right? Because next year's middle school.
Right.
I can't even imagine what that's going to be like. And then
we were all fired up about with going back to at least the plan B. I think it was the 3 weeks, 1 week every 3 weeks, at least having the kids have some social interaction at school. And then Wake County pushed that back to at least mid-February, where they're going to reevaluate. But I wouldn't really be shocked to see just continued virtual academy through the remainder of this school year.
Yeah, we've been, I never wanted to really make a commitment to those masks. I was wearing them all the time, but I was buying those, cheap disposable ones by the box. But now that I have to replace them month after month, they're not so cheap anymore, replacing them for a family of 4 disposable masks. So I'm actually looking for some serious ones, like from Israel, like impregnated with zinc and that you can wash. And yeah, they have these masks that are made in Israel that are considered the best masks you can possibly wear, more effective than the N95s.
Well, they probably prevent chemical attacks, Stephen, is Israel.
Probably do, but they fit really well around your face. They're soft, comfortable. You can wash them. Of course, their stocks are going crazy. They're on the they're on the Israeli exchange, not on our exchange.
Right.
And I wouldn't recommend anyone buying stocks based on other people's tragedies. That never works out well. But it might be good to buy.
Except for Zoom. If you bought Zoom before COVID, you're flush.
Yeah, I guess you're flush. 100%. Not so good with Twitter this week. They went down a little bit, unless they came back up. I don't know. I don't really follow it too closely. But Katie, you have some pretty stylish masks, right? Don't you have some?
Yeah, I all mine at first were just like homemade ones, but then I was like, okay, I probably should buy some like real ones that don't have ridiculous patterns on them, but like some solid colors and ones that like look nice with dressier outfits. So I think it's KITSCH, Kittish or something. I think they also sell them like individually in Ulta, but they're extremely comfortable.
How is it spelled?
I think it's KITSCH or KITCH.
Yeah, that would be like kitsch, like kitschy,
Yeah. And I bought one of every single one they had. They come in packs of 3, and it was like $12 for the, or it was just super cheap. I spent like $20 and got like a million masks, and they all are really soft. They're comfortable behind your ears. They have cute patterns. Some are solid. But my cousin discovered by accident, you can actually wash the disposable masks. They come out completely normal again. And when you blow through it, it doesn't thin it. Like you don't feel your breath on the other side. And that's kind of like the telltale sign if your mask is effective or not. And so I've been washing my disposable ones, and they are like brand new.
Well, that's
so
good. But
don't have to throw them out. Mine come in a box, and it says "Made in Wuhan," impregnated with virus. So I'm afraid to use them. I'm afraid to use them too frequently. So it's probably not a good idea to use those, right?
You tell me you ordered the Israeli masks from Wish.com.
No, I ordered them direct. First, so they had them on Amazon. I figured if they have them on Amazon, they must be fake. So I went directly to the website in Israel and did research.
Nice.
They had an article in the Wall Street Journal or something on their efficacy. But nowadays with the newspapers, you can't tell what's actual editorial and advertising of something they're selling you now.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, so you go online, you say, what's the best mask? Here are the 10 best masks of 2021. This is your deluxe mask, and this is your basic mask. And I'm sure they all pay to be in that list. And people are getting a little bit of pandemic fee. Like we went to the car dealership yesterday, and they drove us back. First of all, the guy that was driving us back, he had been in a horrible injury. He was missing an arm, and that sort of comes up, I guess, probably comes up in conversation why he's missing an arm every time he's driving people. and he told us he lost it in a drunk driving accident, which, you know, didn't give me a lot of confidence in the fact that he was driving us. But he also had a terrible time keeping the mask up while he was driving. It kept on falling down. He only has one arm, and he needs to use that arm to drive. So you can't say, like, pull up your mask. I'm holding on to my mask for dear life and trying to breathe air out of the corner. You know, there's a little bit of mask fatigue going on. So we're back there at the dealership today, and they were all wearing them under their nose. So I guess at that point, you're really not wearing a mask. It is what it is. Let's go over to Andrew. Andrew got on. I'm glad you were able to make it here because you were a little shy of some people that committed to be on today. So,
yeah, sorry about that.
Commitment. I used your little pirate symbol in a post this week, so I'll be sending you a royalty check.
Awesome.
For that. But
I only take Bitcoin, Stephen.
Okay, Bitcoin, no problem. Doubloons or pieces of 8. That's it. I'll break you off. Mm-hmm. And so, what successes have you had in the last week? I know we had a great conversation about how to move our success forward, and you were listening very intently to what everyone said. Did you put any of that into action?
Yeah, actually, I've paired up with 2 different groups of investors, construction guys, designers, to where not so much on the flip of property, but the buy and hold method where they can buy something and then renovate it completely for Airbnb. And then whenever the market's ready to sell or makes sense numbers wise, sell it off.
Yeah, and they're able to pull money out of those. I mean, considering how much properties are going up in Wilmington. I heard that in Wilmington, like in November, your property values went up like 15%, some crazy amount in 1 month.
Yeah, our average sales price, I last looked last week, was $284 for Brunswick, Pender, and New Hanover counties, the Tri-County area.
I mean, you used to be able to buy 5 houses in those counties for that.
Pretty much.
Not too long ago, back in 2008 or so.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. A friend of mine was looking at 8 acres a mile and a half down the road from me, and it has a 3-bedroom, 2-bath manufactured home on it. The RVM on it, when we looked at it, was $274. I looked again that night; it'd gone up to $495.
Whoa, that's crazy. You know, there are a lot of opportunities in real estate, and there are probably a lot of people taking courses right now in real estate. And that's great because it is really a great profession. You can start off doing it part-time. You can. But I do request, and I'm sure Andrew agrees with you, if you are planning on doing this part-time, connect with an agent that does it full-time as well. Because real estate, you can do real estate part-time, but real estate itself is full-time. It happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, and we just got a huge wrench thrown in the gears.
Yeah.
So it became a brokerage.
Yeah, Zillow became a brokerage. And then Zillow broke itself.
Yep.
Zillow is completely messed up right now. They tried to switch over the IDX feeds.
They tried to do everything they said they wouldn't do, and now they broke their model, and they broke the industry.
And they broke their I mean, right now, nothing on Zillow is correct. None of
if you have like 5 years worth of reviews on there, they're gone.
They removed all of my reviews. I had all my reviews removed, all of my sales, all of my listings.
You look like a rookie agent now.
They took all the square footage off my listing too. That's why it's so important to network and be well known in your community, because you need to know other agents need to know who you are when you're making an offer. It makes all the difference in the world. I had a deal this weekend where the woman called me and she said, "Hey, we already have 81 views of this property. We have multiple offers in hand. You're coming in around 6:30. This was at 4:30. I don't think there's really a chance of you getting this house. I don't think there's a chance of you getting this house. Are you sure you want to see it?" In other words, my client, my little elderly client, wants to go home and have dinner. And I said, "Well, I don't lose multiple offer situations. I don't lose them." And she's like very skeptical of that, very skeptical. But she said, "Okay, I'll let you see the property as long as you let me know within 20 minutes whether your client's going to write an offer." Well, We got out there within 30 minutes. We were under contract on that property, winning offer. Part of that is she probably said, who is this ballsy guy on the phone? And then she went and she looked to see, who are we have friends in common with on LinkedIn, on Facebook, what brokerage am I in, went online, looked up my production. So, people do look it up, and it is important, that they see that you have success. They want to go with an agent that's going to get to closing. And also you got to write not every market has this, but in this market, we have due diligence. Most markets due diligence. That's the non-refundable deposit on a house. If your client wants that house, due diligence talks. Putting up a lot of money up front that you're willing to walk away from, especially since a lot of people, they want that, they already have that money spent as soon as they get it. So, they're going to be on board too. Are you finding stuff similar to that in your market?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even I've got a condo for sale for 90. We're under contract. Even that little thing, she wanted to put down $200 due diligence.
Wow. And you could, $200, that's not even a word here. On that property.
No, but I mean, on something like a $90,000 condo, we don't usually have that.
Well, I'm putting $20,000 due diligence on a $200,000 property.
Yeah, your market's way crazier than mine. That's
a way crazy market. So
right now, we did get voted the #1 city in the country to move to.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, pretty much people think of us all as, North Carolina, they're thinking of us as all one big city. And for that matter, they're thinking of South Carolina the same way. It's like wherever I can get a house. If I can get a house in Charleston or in Raleigh or Wilmington or Myrtle Beach, we just want to be mid-Atlantic and we want to be on the East Coast. It's the place to be. Those of you who are out in California, Andrew and I are happy to take your money and turn it into beautiful houses. So, right?
How much inventory do you have right now, Stephen?
Last week we had 3,000 listings, and the year before that we had 10,000, and we were considered a critically low inventory then.
Yeah, we're down to a month and a half worth of inventory.
Month and a half. I think we're probably less than that.
Probably are.
Someone can correct me if they want to shoot that in the chat or, make fun of me on YouTube. You can dispute that. Doesn't make a difference.
It's insane right now.
No skin off my back, especially after Domenic said I look like Harvey Weinstein. Can't get lower in insults than that, unless you're talking about my mother, and don't you dare talk about my mother.
Yeah. 28 days is what I last saw was residential inventory in our market.
Well, say that again, Dave.
28 days.
Wow.
28 days. And you can't even get into the properties. If you're not going in there to win it, and you can win it. They're very easy to win it. Write a good offer. This woman, the other agent on the other end, she texted me like a picture of herself, her avatar of the champagne bottle popping. And she wrote, "You're my hero." She must have had, she must have 20 years in real estate. She's like, "Can you teach me some lessons?" I said, "Yeah, we can do it." Now, I say I've never lost a multiple offer. It's not true. I did lose one, and that was the only time the client didn't follow my advice. But the following week, we did win a big multiple offer for her. So I'm going to take a mulligan for that one and still say that I've won every multiple offer that I've had in 10 years. Knock on wood. There's some wood. That's some solid wood there. So mask use in Wilmington, still strong, less. We're getting a little pandemic fatigue. And I saw there was a physical event in Wilmington. They're doing a morning networking event.
Oh, yeah, ICAG.
Mm-hmm. But I imagine they're probably sitting 20 feet away from each other at that thing.
The room is not that big. They're doing like 4 people. There's round tables. They're doing like 4 or 5 people at each table.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to that one a few times, not since the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in a restaurant, so I think it's under the guise of if you're seated, you're okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a lot safer than, a big, massive room filled with people, and you got a network. We can't wait. We're dying.
It's crazy, though. If you're in New Hanover County where Wilmington is, there's a lot more mask usage than if you go up into Pender. which is just not where that house was I sold for your friend. Go to a gas station. Everybody's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, oh God.
Right.
I even went to I went to the attorney's office for your friend, and not a single paralegal or anybody had a mask on.
Really, for my referral?
Yeah, for John.
For John. Yeah, so recently I see a lot more stricter mask wear amongst my buyers. Like, I don't have to tell them to go to their car to get a mask. They come out of their car with a mask. And we keep extra masks in the car.
I've kind of started doing the subconscious thing of, when you see somebody else put on their seatbelt, you do. When I'm getting out of my car, I put my mask on, and they're like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah, that works. So
the city of Charleston has started giving out tickets if you're walking around downtown without a mask on outside. I know someone that actually got a ticket. She was on the phone alone outside of a bar, and she got a ticket. And there was like word spreading on Facebook, I think Friday, saying they are on a mission right now. Like, there's like giving out tickets constantly to people walking without one. So it's, they're trying to enforce it, but the bars and restaurants here, it's the rule of like when you're eating and your table, you can take it off. When you're walking around the restaurant, you have to keep it on. Well, that seems to be like dinner hour, and then it becomes like party time, and like that rule has completely gone out the door. Especially like the outside spaces, they're like, well, they're outside, and it's shoulder to shoulder, like pre-pandemic crazy, just like super spreader type things. But so it's like they enforce it sometimes.
In North Carolina, we're closed out at 10. So if you're in a restaurant at 9, that's last call. You're out the door.
Our last call is at 10:30. Everything closes here at 11 now.
Yeah. And before they stayed up a little later in Charleston. I know in probably in Myrtle Beach, it's probably not too much mask use, right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really go to Myrtle Beach.
Jennifer.
It's a whole other animal. That's not like Wilmington or Charleston. That's Myrtle Beach is different.
Another animal.
I don't think virus would dare go to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, we got a mixed bag. It depends on which part of Myrtle Beach. There's some good parts, and then there's some seedy parts where they don't even care, or they still don't believe that coronavirus is real.
Do you live in North Myrtle Beach, or do you live in South Myrtle Beach?
So Myrtle Beach. Yeah.
So it's not South, it's North Myrtle Beach, and it's Myrtle Beach.
Right, yeah, I know it's confusing. When I first came here, I was like, what? Okay. North
Myrtle Beach are the older folk.
Quiet. Right now it's Surfside Beach. That's what we call it, the South End right there. And Murrells Inlet, Pawleys Island, that's the fixed income group right there. That's where you go to retire. And then everything north of that's where you go work.
Well, I guess we just got to do what we got to do until this is all put aside. None of us here are old enough really to have been offered the vaccine yet. I think my parents are getting it pretty soon because they're offering it to people 65 and older now. And
my wife can get it as a frontline worker. She just has to figure out how, because she doesn't do well with vaccines anyway. Her body doesn't like them. So she's waiting for her doctor to say, okay, this is not going to really mess you up if you take it.
And he'll make a guarantee like that, I'm sure. He'll put
Even if I qualified for it, if you have severe food allergies, so like if you go into anaphylactic shock from any foods, like I have a severe nut allergy, you can't get either vaccine, because if you get it, you'll instantly go into anaphylactic shock. So even if I qualified, what's that?
Amy's allergic to penicillin, so she's sort of in that same vein.
Yeah. I'm hoping, I know Johnson & Johnson's about to come out with a vaccine. I mean, I'm sure they're going to go back and this is not like an uncommon, thing to have. So a lot of people have severe food allergies. So I'm sure they're going to change that eventually, but that's frustrating now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess
people that can't get it.
If other people around you are getting the vaccine, that should help you, though.
Yeah.
Diego, you're getting more serious about the masks?
I've always been somewhat serious about the mask. Some of you know that I do a lot of soccer coaching at a high level, and we're required to wear masks all the time around the kids. I had a cancer scare a couple of years ago. So some people suggested that I may be kind of prone to it. My wife is in the healthcare industry, and so it's just been a regular thing for me. That being said, it hasn't necessarily slowed my general activity. So, if we do another in-person Rockstar Connect lunch, you can pretty much count on my being there. I'll just be wearing a mask.
100%. And Mark, on your end?
I'm a little more lax than apparently the panel. But I'm from Boston. Nothing can kill me.
Well, you're very good when you're hosting your events, though.
Oh, God, yeah. Because we have other folks around.
Yeah, you definitely. I know that you and Tiffany definitely wear the masks and you take the temperatures and keep people.
We're a little spoiled. We get to work from home for the vast majority of what we do. It takes me 3 times to get into the darn grocery store because I do forget it. I get to the door and go back and forget what I was going to the car for. Go back in, then forget the mask and go back in and get it. So
very good.
I'm a two-stepper.
Okay. We're going to jump into the question before the beginning of the hour. When people come in the second hour, they can start with the question. I should have it right here. Okay, here is the question. And Jack is back. Hey, Jack, so you're back in time for the question. Is that a real library behind you, or is that a...
No, it's green screen.
Okay, this is part of my library here. We have a big...
You were part of the motivation for picking out this background. I knew you had this.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, we're bringing over probably another 10,000 or so books this week. Out of storage.
Well, you've got me way covered there.
Well, I mean, at the beginning of COVID, we had 80,000 books, and we've been steadily thinning that down. So we're probably at about 15,000 books or so.
Yeah.
That's a lot of books.
That's a lot of books.
And so here's the question, Jack. And since you're back, we'll start. We're going to start with you. Okay.
Yep.
Do you remember a specific experience of where you wished that you had done something differently?
Oh God!
If you were to do it over, or you could do it over, what would you change?
That could be a long list.
I know you can only pick 1 or 2, though.
I know, and there's only a couple I would probably share in public too. So, wow. If I could pick anything, if I could do it over.
Yeah, I mean, it could be back to high school, or college even.
Well, from a career perspective, I think one of the things I would at least consider not doing, and this is going to sound kind of weird, but when we moved to North Carolina here in 2001, I came here. I was working for GlaxoSmithKline at the time, and I was in field sales and pharmaceuticals for 14 years prior to that. And I was just coming in to get home office experience. Was supposed to come in and get some of that, and then go back out as district sales manager. That was the whole plan. My DM was all behind it. But while here, everything just kind of changed, and so there are times I've wondered if I had stayed home, would I be in a sales manager? What my career path may have been. I mean, not that I have anything against being here in North Carolina, but it wasn't really a part of the plan at that time, and we don't have any immediate family here. So I don't say I'd 100% do it over, but I have often wondered, how fate kind of works. I said, it was supposed to be 2 years, and now 20 years later, we're still here. But I've often wondered if had I not made that decision and stayed in the sales, I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky, what my career path would have been. And, it would be nice to be closer to family, when you have kids and all that kind of good stuff that were very, estranged out here. That would be something I would consider. I don't know if I 100% would do it over again. But
Kentucky's a pretty hot area now too, just like North Carolina.
Yeah, so that would at least be something I would consider. Like I said, moving here, not knowing a soul. I've made lots of friends. Obviously, everybody, several people on this call included. But I've often wondered if I'd stayed home, what would be the career path and how things may be different.
And so, any speculation how it might have been different? Do you think you might have become the mayor of Louisville?
No, but it's funny. The territory that I had been in with sales, I'd always done well. the year after I left, it was like the number 2 territory in the country, and they had a new person in it. So even my boss at times said, with all the work that I had done, that I would have been, one of the top salespeople in the whole country, that might have opened up other doors for other things. I lived across this, well, not across the street, but in the same neighborhood as my brother, and he had kids, and we had kids, and just from a family perspective, it would have been very different. And like I said, from a career perspective, I don't know what happened, because winning that award would have changed some things. And, my boss was trying to get me into a district manager's role at the time. So but Stephen, that's one thing, be careful what you wish for, because, it could have obviously turned out worse. Who knows?
Just, we all rewatched this season, probably rewatched It's a Wonderful Life, or a permutation of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that was the first thing that struck me. Anything when you said that, it's like, how would things have been different had I stayed in Louisville versus moving to Carolina?
Well, you may be moving back to Louisville one day. You never know.
It's possible. My kids, several people here have thought about it. I know Dom did. I've got seniors in high school that are getting ready to start college, twins. So I'll have 3 in college next year. So if anybody wants to do a GoFundMe, I'm happy to take any money, because I'm going to be writing a whole lot of checks to different universities next year. But yeah,
we have ours nice and spaced.
Yeah,
so
we did
well. Through this one, and then I have another 10 years to panic or so. Well, less than that. 9 years.
Twins don't give you that option, unfortunately.
That's why you always get rid of one twin. You're supposed to give one up for adoption. You didn't know that. So you got to talk. You got to consider these things, Jack. I'll advise you in the future. That should have been the choice. That was the
Imagine even I'm adopted. Is there another one of me running around?
Right. Imagine if you'd gotten rid of that evil twin.
Oh wow! I'm so glad no family is within earshot of this call, because I would be getting stuff thrown at me.
All those books behind you. Luckily, they're
yeah, exactly.
So Jennifer, do you remember a specific experience of where you wished that you had done something differently? If you were to do it over, what would you change?
Well, this is one of the more painful life lessons I learned. This is prior to me starting my business and working for myself, was when I was working retail. And when anyone who's worked retail the last 10 years, I know how painful that is, and how desperate you could be to get out of that situation. And unfortunately, I was too desperate, and I latched onto someone who I thought would, take me to the next level and, let me do what my skills would, my talents would put me in place for, and ended up being a scam. So, I recommend to any creatives out there, you may be in a really crappy situation, in your career, like, having to work menial jobs. If you are, spend more time on yourself, either making your own business, or do your due diligence and researching, accountable people that you can trust. And that way, not to get scammed and have to go down this dark path of getting owed money or having to break ties with someone that has been scamming the community.
Wow. How would you, if you're doing it all over again, how would you do that sort of due diligence?
I would have definitely asked people in the community about that person, or done more research into that person's background, and then should have followed my advice of my husband, then boyfriend at the time, who did not like him. And I should have listened to that advice, not to go with that person.
Hey, well, I think your answer is going to help a lot of people, make some good decisions that are listening. Andrew, do you remember a specific experience of where you had wished you had done something differently? If you were to do it over, what would you change?
I would have probably not gone to college straight out of high school, because it didn't feel right. It felt like I was trying to do something that my parents wanted. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that I know I didn't put everything I could have into it, because it wasn't what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I think I would have, knowing what I know now, listened to my dad's original idea of getting a real estate license at 18, because it would have been easier, and I would have already had 20 years in the business.
Right. And do you regret going to college, or you
I think it
did it?
postponed me because when I went to college, I didn't like it. Then I fell into food service, and I love that. But I think it was just a fork in the road where I went right when I probably should have gone left.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think a lot of people, there's a lot of pressure for people to go to university. And I certainly think there's value in going to university, but I wish they would give you like a year before you actually started.
Yeah.
To decide where you're going to go. I guess your parents really either want you to go to work or get out of the house, or both.
That was the thing. I was okay going to work, and they wanted me to go to college, not work. And that was where I took issue with it, because I didn't feel like it was purposeful.
Mm. Yeah, it's like you go get right out of high school, you go right to college. You probably don't get a break again until you die.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get a chance to sow your wild oats, or you're doing it when you should be studying. Right? So, Mark, let's go over to Mark. Mark, do you remember a specific experience of where you wish that you had done something differently? If you were to do it over, what would you change? You would have skipped law school, right?
That might have been one. No, that's a great background. I never intended to practice, so that worked out. But I'm reminded of a saying: the older I get, the smarter my father gets. So I might have kicked that in a wee bit earlier in life. I try not to regret too many things, because it got you to where you are today. Mistakes, boils, everything you've done got you here. But one of the things that does kick me in the butt a little bit is I wish I stayed in the Air National Guard. I got out after my first 6-year term. Could have stayed there. And I don't think it would have changed any trajectory other than giving me more time in. But I'm fairly happy with the decisions we made. Made the best decision we knew at the time. Screwed them up, took some chances, and got to where we are here.
Well, I'll tell you, it's interesting what you say about your father, because my father and I had about a 10-year period of time in our lives where we did not agree on anything. He did not understand anything I was saying, and I didn't want to listen to anything that he had to say. Now, we're pretty close, and he says, I still don't understand anything you're talking about, but I will concede that you tend to make the right decision. And,
absolutely.
Maybe I should have listened to some of your ideas that were crazy over that 10 year that I thought were crazy over the 10 years, because other people seem to think your ideas are really good.
But then again, those of us that know you, David, when you were told you can't do something, what was the first thing you did?
Oh, I did it. But there were certain things I wanted to do really early on that I encouraged my father, to do, like pay at the pump for gas and a mouse for keypads. Yeah. Him being an attorney, we could have wrote up some pretty nice patents at that time. But he said, who would ever pay money at the pump? Because, they didn't have debit cards then, and, just credit cards. Who would pay at the pump? You just go inside, you pay. That's stupid. That's stupid. How would you use this thing? I don't see how that would work. I'm going to be really good with video games. And it's a classic battle between father and son, especially when the father is a little less entrepreneurial than the son. Domenic, do you want to hit this question up? Do you remember a specific experience of where you wished you had done something differently? If you were to do it over, what would you change?
Yeah, if I would change anything, I mean, going back, I probably would have gone to law school instead of culinary school. I know Mark's down there shaking his head, but man, I came out of an experience in college where I was a champion collegiate debater, and I loved being an advocate, and I still love being an advocate. And I took basically 20 years off from that, going to culinary school, being a chef. I mean, I had a fantastic time, but like Andrew, I would have 20 years of experience doing it now, and I'd be in a completely different place now. I love the life I have, as Mark was saying, everything that you've done to this point in your life is been one step in getting you here. And I appreciate everything that I have, and, you know, the people that I've gotten to have, been fortunate enough to have as part of my life and my family and everything like that. But man, that's one thing that I look back on and say, you know, that's one decision that I made when I probably didn't have enough information, and I would have, you know, that would have been one thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little older than you, but still not too far off generationally. It seems like there was when we were growing up, there was this period where people did not want to give you advice on what you should do for your career.
Right.
They just said, do what makes you happy. But they didn't tell you what career would necessarily make you happy too. There wasn't that direction there.
Correct.
Did you sort of have that experience, like guidance counselors non-existent, et cetera?
Yeah, even my folks, they, you know, there wasn't really any kind of career coaching that said, hey, you know, when you're comparing these two things, you know, this is, you know, this is kind of the life, this is the kind of life somebody who does this leads, you know, this percentage of people make it to this point in this career. This is the amount of time that you put in. This is the amount of energy. This is the level of burnout. And, you know, my other thing was when I was at that age, I thought, well, going to law school and being a lawyer would be hard. Right. And I'm in my 40s now. I've hired attorneys. I know plenty of attorneys. And man, if they did it, it must not be that hard.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple friends that I came up with through in high school that had, you know, SAT scores, you know, sub 800, that somehow ended up getting into law school.
Yeah.
And eventually passing the bar. I don't know who took the bar for them, but they're all practicing attorneys today. So where there's a will, there's a way. There's a law school for
well,
every.
You can become as educated as you have to be, or as you can be, on one thing, right? Doctors are really notorious for this. Like, they are super, super smart about their specialty, but you get them on anything else, and it's just like, what? Are you kidding me? I just spent the last like 20 years of my life studying this one thing. I didn't have time to even learn about any of these other things. So it's just, you know, you think people are amazingly smart at one thing that applies to every other possible thing, and that's just not the case.
Right. I mean, in sales, you always want to be speaking to a physician, because they're pretty easy to sell stuff to, because a lot of them are not happy with what they do. First of all,
yeah,
they make money, but they didn't really learn about finances at all. So that money goes out the door faster than it comes in.
Sure.
And, you know, from a salesperson's perspective, we're like throwing them a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, particularly in my industry. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So that's why there's usually so many layers of people to protect physicians from us salespeople.
Yeah, of course.
Because they're like, not all of you have had sales training here. Almost all of us are salespeople, but everyone knows the word, like, a mooch. What a mooch is.
Yep.
Who wants to give me a definition of a mooch and see if we're on the same page? Do you know what a mooch is, Jack? Jack?
It's a person who doesn't turn his mic on.
Hey. Hey. Don't maybe. Okay. Your beard. Never. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, you resemble that remark, Jack.
I know what a mooch is, but I don't think that's what you're asking for.
Yeah, and a mooch in sales is someone. It's different. Like, someone people think a moocher is like someone who begs for something.
That would have been my answer. Yes.
Yeah, but that in sales it has a different meaning. A mooch is someone who is so bad at resisting buying things that they have to put things in place to prevent them from buying things. So, like, if you're having a sales session and you're training your salespeople, You say to them, well, what if you see a sign that says no solicitation? What do? And they go, oh, well, you don't bother that person. You don't ring their doorbell.
You walk in and you ask for an appointment.
It's au contraire. That's the person you want to knock on their door because they are so likely to buy something they actually have to put up a sign to prevent themselves from buying things. Because anyone else, you just come to the door, you say, take a hike. You don't need a sign for them not to come to the door. So basically, you are putting a sign in front of you that you will buy anything. And that's why, doctors have so many people between you and a salesperson. Because chances are, once you finally get up in front of them, Jack, have you ever sold to physicians?
I used to be in pharmaceuticals, so I was in physicians' offices all the time.
Right. So by the time you're actually physically in front of a physician or the office manager, they're buying, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You will get the evil eye real quickly from staff or whatever if you're bending their ear too long, and the doctor doesn't always shut you off, the staff will.
Yeah, because the staff are afraid you're going to sell them something else.
Yeah.
That they're going to have to put in place. That's the way it works. Hey, so let's go back to the question. Who didn't get an opportunity? I know the new people haven't got an opportunity yet. Let's go. Oh, we lost Diego, so he didn't get to answer the question. But who of the people from the first hour has already answered the question? I think that's all of us. And Andrew's answered it. Okay, so guys, we have a little less turnout today. People didn't show up that were supposed to show up. So we jumped into the second question more quickly. Before I give Rhonda and Ray out in California the question for the second hour, I'm going to let you share what your opportunities are. Also, our car just came from Sacramento this week, Ray. It finally made it here. So we're excited about that. But Rhonda and Ray, Rhonda, you can open up your mic.
Hello. Happy Tuesday.
Rhonda.
How are you?
I really like the glasses you're wearing. I don't think I've ever...
Oh, they're blue light, because I'm at the computer so long that it helps with the glare.
Mm-hmm.
Happens when you get old.
Well, maybe I need to make an investment in that and my new mask from Israel. New face mask.
Anyway.
Adam from the Great White North, he's joining us as well. So we're going to go through, we're going to let you guys answer your questions, and we're going to ask you about success. Then we're going to ask you the question of the week. Then we'll talk a little bit and probably end the panel a little bit early today. It's like, getting out of school early. And so, Rhonda, haven't seen you in 2 weeks, I think.
No, I was here last week.
Here last week? Okay. What successes have you had in the last week that you would like to share with us?
Actually, it's kind of interesting because I was introduced to, and you guys might be interested in learning about this, because many of the networking groups like this amazing group have all gone virtual. I found a group called allcitiesnetworking.org. And it's basically a California group that used to meet in person, just like Rockstar used to have their groups, right? And so what I love about it is, number one, I think there's about 250 members, and now that it's virtual, you can pretty much go to any chapter. So they give you a month to test drive it, which is pretty cool. So I started to get involved with All Cities Networking, and not only have I made some great connections, but I've gotten quite a bit of business, which has been awesome. And I would say the biggest success for me, and part of what I want to do more of this year, is speaking. So I'm getting a lot of opportunities to get in front of groups where I can share some of the strategies, tactics, hacks even that work to generate business using LinkedIn. So I say that probably is the greatest success that I've had, is finding All Cities and really going out of my way to reach out to people and find out, who are you? How can I help you? It's kind of like when Dr. Bricker and I like to call him Dr. Bricker, Adam, when we had a conversation, or Domenic and I had a conversation, or, Mark did, it's like, hey, what do you do? How can I help? So it really is set up that way. So that's been my success, is just meeting very, very cool people and making amazing connections.
Oh, great. Well, that sounds terrific. I want to give you the opportunity to answer the question for this week. Do you remember a specific experience of where you wish that you had done something differently? If you were to do it over, what would you change?
Oh my God. If I was going to do it over, what would I do?
Would you be divorced the first time and then remarried? Or because that must have cost money the first time.
Yeah, it's funny because, for those of you that don't know me, I married the same guy twice, right? So I talk about the 6 years that we were divorced as the gift wrapped in sandpaper, and probably the greatest gift. I really think that, not talking business, right? But and maybe from a business standpoint, I think the thing that I would have done differently is I would have hired a business coach sooner, because I hired a business coach last year. And that has really made a big difference. In my personal life, really being candid, if I had done something different, I have a 29-year-old daughter who was diagnosed with Crohn's disease at age 10. And, so it's been a roller coaster. And I think that if I was to do anything differently, I would have made her responsible for her own health, her diet and, not being the one that took responsibility for it to tell her what to do, but I would have done it very differently. I would have actually made her responsible for taking her own medicine and making her own appointments, from the time that she could, as opposed to relying on me for it. Because, now at 29, I pretty much still have that role. She does it, but, she really has to take a responsibility for herself. So if I could redo it, that's what I would redo.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's hard when kids have an illness to know how to deal with that.
Yeah, it is really tough. And oh, by the way, I found one of your rock stars the other day on LinkedIn, and I told him about the panel. He used to be one of your people that did the events and loved it. He's an EXP guy, so he's going to reach out to you again. And
from Arizona.
I'm trying to remember his name. I'm drawing a blank. But I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, do you know about Rockstar?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I used to have amazing events with Rockstar," and and then everything kind of went dark. So nothing but amazing things to say about the group and the results that he got. So,
well, hopefully we'll all be vaccinated soon and back out at our individual events. Ray, successes over the last week.
So I was out of town for most of the time. I was actually in Florida, but a success for me would probably be, working with my father. That's why I was in Florida. He's getting older, trying to help him make a decision on what he wanted to do in terms of staying in place where he's at or move to assisted living or whatever it is he wanted to do. He wasn't sure. We seem to have resolved that. So that's a success for me. It's a personal success in terms of, now I have a better idea of, what direction to help him. So
I know he was talking about moving to Virginia at some point. Is that off the table?
Yes. So at one time he wanted to move to Virginia. At one time I was going to move to Florida. And then he was going to move to Virginia. And I said, well, I'm not moving to Florida if you're moving to Virginia. So I stopped the whole process. And then a month later, he says, I'm staying here. I'm like, okay, so what are you going to do here? So, yeah, it's been a challenging 12 months that had nothing to do with COVID.
Well, you're the perfect example of that sandwich generation, I guess. So
yeah.
You all the luck with that. Do you remember a specific experience of where you wished that you had done something differently? If you were to do it over, what would you change?
So, I've made so many mistakes in my life that I don't know if I changed them where I would be today. That butterfly effect thing, right?
Right.
But one thing that I don't know that I wish I would have changed it. I have often thought about what would have happened if I would have pursued a different route early on. When I got out of the military, I wanted to be my own boss, so to speak. And I didn't know anything about civilian life in terms of, real estate, finances, insurance, because the military pretty much takes care of all that. I was in the military. They provide housing for you. There's insurance. You get retirement through them. So I didn't know much about anything in terms of what many people might expect or at least have an inkling of. So when I started looking for a job, it was torn between insurance and financial planning and real estate. So I often wonder what would have happened if I would have went that other route and went through insurance. The thing that actually moved me towards real estate was I went and I interviewed with several different companies to find out what all this stuff meant. And the biggest concern I have was not knowing anything is, how am I going to learn this stuff? How am I going to be successful? And the company that I signed on with, the real estate company I signed on with, the reason I did it is, 23 years ago, there wasn't a lot of training programs. They literally brought out a binder, which is all military. Everybody in the military back then had binders for everything. And they opened up the binder and they said, well, we have a course that, this classes that you're going to follow and take, and you're going to close your first deal in 90 days. And they showed me, this is what we're going to do in week 1, week 2, week 3. And that's what brought me to real estate. But I often wonder, I don't see a financial planner here anymore. I think Domenic left us. But I often wonder what it would have been like to be in the insurance industry or financial planning.
Never too late.
No, it's not. But that's a whole new career field to pursue, and I chose not to do that. So,
very good. I've experienced a lot of changes everything ends up going back to sales to a certain
right.
But a lot of changes over my career. Real estate has been a long time now. It's 10 years for me now in real estate. That's after the book. That's probably the second longest. I was in the book business for 15 years. Okay, so Adam, I was really confused today. Yesterday I saw a picture of you in the snow, and then today I saw a picture of you at the beach. What's going on?
You did not see a picture of me at the beach. You saw a picture I took last year when I was at the beach.
Oh, well, there wasn't a lot of explanation there.
So, it's funny that you asked the question that you're asking. And, because I don't go through life with regrets. I'm very spiritual, and I have that belief that, whatever you're going through is what you have to go through to get to where you need to be. So I don't usually look on that, but when my memories popped up from last year, this day was a really, really tough time for me. There was a live event. I was supposed to be on the stage at the live event, had a real hard time getting there. It was pretty much a disastrous day for me. And if there's anything that I could have done different, I would have just said goodbye to those people from that moment. They've proven to be, not, they don't put on rock star events. Let me put it to you that way. And leaving them earlier. Now I didn't actually consciously leave them at that moment. I just did, and it took months later. But man, I love my life, and I just look at all the trials that you've been through. That makes you stronger and able to not only handle what comes, but help other people avoid that same mess. Because as my buddy Jim Rome says, life's too short to make all the mistakes on your own. So learn from others.
And what are mistakes?
Exactly.
What are failures? What are mistakes? I mean, we're just on this planet for a short period of time, doing our little dance, hoping that we have impact, maybe having zero impact, maybe having a lot of impact, maybe both at the same time. In my case, there are things that if I had changed them, I certainly wouldn't be where I am today, and I'm very happy with where I am today. And even on days where I may be less happy, I reflect back and I go, wow, I really have it good. And I know that a lot of people are taking account of their lives and realizing how blessed they are. For me, what other people may call a mistake or a failure, I consider accelerated learning. The the quickest way to get a graduate degree in something is, in theory, to fail at it. Then you learn everything about it and learn. And there's no way to, maybe what I would like to change in experiences, maybe there are some relationships that I let fall to the wayside a little too soon, or maybe there were the people that I probably should have gave them more of my time when they were living, and now they're no longer with us, and I can't do that. But like you, really on this program, we're very thoughtful, spiritual people. To every single person on the program, they wouldn't be on here. They wouldn't see the value of it.
If I could jump in about mistakes, Bernard Law, talking about mistakes, said, life is an awful teacher. It gives you the test before it teaches you the lesson.
Right. Well, you've been married before, correct? You were divorced and married.
Yes.
If you had never married the first person and got divorced from them, you wouldn't be married to Tiffany today.
That is why I don't look back on too many things saying I wish I didn't.
Right.
Married
So
Satan.
If I had married someone, my first marriage, if I had married someone else and we had stayed married forever, I never would have married my wife, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I regret having the first marriage? If I didn't have the first marriage, I couldn't have the second marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, with Rhonda, getting divorced from her husband, how could she regret that? Because being separated for those 6 years, she knew, with maturity, how they could put the marriage together to be great. Because probably you couldn't have had a good relationship with him during those 6 years. You needed
during the 6 years we were friends, but the way I look at it is everybody that I met during that time were the lessons I needed to learn. Everybody showed up for a reason, and it made me appreciate what we have today. We wouldn't have the great relationship we have today if I hadn't gone through that 6 years. I call it the gift wrapped in sandpaper.
There's sometimes, I think it's important to learn from these things. Sometimes somebody does you wrong, like they did Adam wrong in that event. And it hurts at the moment and it stings, but you learn a lot about how to deal with people in the future. You learn about due diligence and not rushing into actual relationships and professional relationships too quickly. And realize that there's always going to be opportunities out there. I mean, sometimes in a sales pitch, I'll say, opportunities like a bald-headed man with one hair left on his head. You got to grab it while you can. But there always seems to be one more hair up there. They don't have a hair on their head. They got a hair on their face, and you can grab that one too. There's always going to be another opportunity presenting themselves. And as far as relationships, there's some of you out there, may not have the greatest relationship with your children right now, but you can come back to them in a later part of your life and have a different type of relationship. And maybe you weren't such a great dad, but you could be a really good friend or an advisor. Help your family member through part of their life, and maybe the relationship is they're going to help you. Maybe that's why the relationship was put together. That child's going to help you one day. So it's always about opportunities. We really can't go back and change the past. If I did have the ability to do that, I'd want to go back to help other people and tell them, it might look really bad right now, but a lot of that's up to you how long it's going to look bad. We do have less people today, so we are going to have a shorter show. But if anyone does anyone want to comment on the last question?
I'd just like to finish that off, saying that the past doesn't exist. The past is only a memory. So you can change that memory. You can reframe it. Somebody told me that, it's never too late to go back and have a great childhood. And I literally did that 5 years ago, and it changed my life.
Now that makes complete sense, because many memories are false memories too.
Yes.
So it's certainly how you frame it. And I remember, at times when I was, a kid, there were some times, my father had to make his own check. He was his own boss, where money was tight. And we would do things like, counting the coupons and counting the pennies and the change. And picking up, I'm sure you guys have done this. If we all have similar childhoods, growing up during the same recessions and depressions and the like, collecting bottles, green stamps, vacations might be sleeping in the back of the car, driving around the state. But, those are all good times. And, our kids would benefit from having a childhood like that. Do you want to add something, Sarah?
I did. So, hi, guys. Oh, hi, guys. So you can stay close to me. Mm-hmm. I love you. So in Reframing the Past, there's a fantastic author who wrote things in early 1900s. His name is Neville Goddard. And he wrote a whole series about changing your perspective and your mindset and getting what you want out of life. And one of the major things that he talks about is reframing your past, rewriting the past to make it from what it was to what you would wanted it to be. And it's all about, yes, Neville Goddard, right? It's all about projecting what your subconscious mind wants into the world, and that contains reframing the past and framing again the future to make it exactly what you want. He's got a lot of volumes of work. It's really worth reading.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to contribute? And I know, Ray, that you're always, working on relationships and.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Yes, it's because I've seen a lot of changes. I've been involved with you and your daughter. I see there's, as adults, you guys are starting to really bond with one another.
Yes, it's funny that you had mentioned that earlier about how things change with our children, and we did not have a good relationship when she was growing up. It wasn't until much later as an adult that we actually developed a loving relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing with my father. Now, if my father, we don't hear from each other in a day, it's like, what's wrong? Is everything okay? Because we speak with each other every single day, and we were like, we're not alike. So it's nice as adults. And I know Sarah, really get on the phone with her father now for hours. And when we first got married, they never spoke to each other at all.
Oh, yeah,
So
I had a rough challenge with him when I was a teenager.
She had challenges with him when she was a teenager. I don't know whether you heard that. Well, I want to thank everyone for contributing. Always the second hour gets a little, people get a little weepy-eyed and you really get to know what people are about. But that helps, that helps the people that are listening determine who they want to do business with. You want to go do real estate in Sacramento, Ray Fuentes, person to call. Mark Roberts can help people all over the country streamline their businesses so they can start enjoying life like Mark does. I mean, Mark, not only does he own his company, he's a client of his company. Adam Bricker, who is now in Canada, but will forever, be in Florida as well, regardless of where he lives. Just like the Hair Club. I'm only also the president. Not only am I the president, a member, I am the president. Or does it go the other way around? I can't remember. I have a lot of beard envy with Adam, but I do that Hemingway contest, right? Key West, Hemingway. Am I getting there soon?
I'm getting ready.
You're getting ready. Okay. You'll have to gain a little weight. I'll have to lose a little weight to pull that off. But, go to Adam if you want to learn about the most unique way to connect and market your business today. Go to Adam Connects online. And for anything with LinkedIn, reach out to Rhonda, Sher. We're going to be doing a lot of things with different panelists, putting on seminars in the future to help entrepreneurs like the people that are listening here. It's very difficult for us to deliver the networking experience of a Rockstar Connect event, but we have a very, very large amount of people that have gone to our events, hundreds of thousands of people that are extremely talented and have skill sets that I think you need right now. I think all of you entrepreneurs out there, all you pirates, all you free Americans need the help of your network, and we're going to be doing things to put you all together. So thank you for coming. I'm Stephen David Elliott, co-creator of Rockstar Connect with Sarah Elliott, the producer of this show. We hope to see you next week and to bring you some of your favorite panelists and some new panelists as well. If everyone could just give a little goodbye. Thank you for attending.